They're saying goodbye. There's Harry and Meghan. There's Jack Brooksbank right behind Meghan. There's no acknowledged. Harry's really pissed off. Eugenie is somewhat nervous, I guess. And then they get in the Wally Simpson car. You know that is their car, the signature car for Meghan and Harry. Harry blows off some steam, and Meg at that moment has like a hard, like a cold stare at Eugenie that is right here in your at your lower right corner of your screen, right here. Okay, so we have all those interactions. You're gonna see it frame by frame. We have all of them on this frame. Gonna be very slowly, and you can see that Meghan is trying to force a smile. Well, in these situations, I'm not expecting her to have a genuine smile. I have to give it to her. I think no one at a funeral has ever a genuine smile. It will be very odd. But like it's like she is she's got Eugenie right beside her, and you should remember that they are supposedly friends, right? But some of you have been making the correcting me on Twitter. Thanks for correcting me politely on Twitter. That Eugenie is in fact friends with Harry, but not with Meghan. I don't know. What do you think about this? It's like it makes sense. She must be friends with Harry, specifically with Harry, because she has spent much more time with Harry than with Meghan. But maybe she has her fair share of experiences with Meghan, maybe at Soho House. We don't know, those mysterious months that we have to find out sometime. But for some reason, Meghan is not acknowledging Eugenie's presence there, like saying goodbye or something, like bye, friend, or anything. But she's got that Miranda Presley look. Yes, this is full Miranda Presley. If you remember, Miranda Presley is from the Devil Wears Prada movie. The character of Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's character. This is that look when the fashion designer was trying to impress her, and she just looked away and put her mouth like that, like not impressed, like not wanting to be there, like no, this is not it. Yeah, and I see Eugenie a bit awkward. At the same time, she is pushing her head backwards, like when you do this, when you can push your head forward when you're interested in something, and you can pull it backwards when you are feel resistance towards something. It's the opposite reaction. In this case, she is a bit backwards. Her head is a bit backwards, so there is some resistance between them. This should not be it if they are friends, so they can support each other, because it's precisely in these moments when friends are going to naturally gravitate to each other, which is not happening here. Okay, so if we begin to just go a bit forward, sadly Eugenie goes off screen, but we can still see Meghan looking at another direction, like away from her, like giving her the cold shoulder. And this is the moment that we see Jack. It's Jack. You see Jack here in easy and full display, and see Harry that is looking, I think he's looking at Beatrice that is right behind them. Okay, Harry is looking at Beatrice, and you see Jack looking at Harry. And I want to show you something. It's the way Jack's lips is like curl a bit inward. Okay, that is when you have this like this expression. Okay, like you curl your lips over your teeth inwards. Okay, it's a bit, just a tad of anger, maybe a bit of frustration. Well, uh, maybe by this point it's just a coincidence that he's looking at Harry because, well, I think that barely 1 second before he's got his lips relaxed. I see his lips relax in this frame, right? Just, I think, less than half a second, he wets his lips. Maybe he felt his lips were dry. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable at the moment. Usually that's also a normal reaction. But what I don't get is why he has that expression upon landing his eyes on Harry. Okay? And what's more interesting is that even if you can't see someone's eyes, you can tell a lot by their head reactions, by the movements of their heads. I have a guide on that, how to read all the movements of the head, of the face. And you can even make sense of a person, even if you're not seeing their faces directly. So I want to make this simple exercise. It's a very important body language exercise. At this moment, and since we have this system in our brain that is always looking for and finding faces, we are focusing on Jack's face because it's the face we can recognize in this frame. Okay, we got this gentleman, but we discard him because for what we want to find out, we guess that he is not important, and he is not that important for what we are looking for. But I want you to focus your attention on Harry. Okay? When someone makes a connection, an eye connection with you, they lock eyes with you, you're gonna see some kind of reaction. And in this case, you should see some kind of reaction with his head, like he's just pointing out in his direction. You can see that Harry's looking towards Beatrice, that it's right here behind them, and Jack looks at him. Let's see. Try to focus on Harry's head. It's important. Don't look. Do not look. Expressly avoid looking at Jack and focus on Harry. I'm gonna go frame by frame. You see that there's no quick movement to lock eyes with Jack. Because here's Harry, and Jack looks eyes with him, and there's no reaction from Harry. Like Harry is still looking at Beatrice. Beatrice is moving. Notice that Beatrice is moving, and Harry follows her with his head. You notice that? Beatrice moves, Harry follows her. It's like a target. Like he got his eyes on the target. And you might be saying, of course, why not? You can argue about this. Say that, well, maybe Harry was distracted looking at Beatrice for some reason. We don't know. But he could be distracted looking at anyone else. So he was not aware that Jack was looking at him. But you will agree with me, too, that Jack was even in the way, was directly in front of Harry, was literally in his line of sight. Okay, there must have been even a slight reaction, and there is not. It's like Harry was purposefully avoiding Jack's gaze because there's no reaction. You can see, again, I'm going to move this frame by frame. You can see that Beatrice at the back, she moves and Harry just follows her. There's no moving his head axis towards Jack. Okay, you notice this. There's something, and Jack is a great example of this. You maybe can be looking at someone out of the corner of your eye, but our head will naturally align to whatever we are watching. There's normal mechanics of how our gaze, how our head works. So you're watching someone like this, and so you can be more comfortable, you turn your head towards them. And that's what Jack is doing. He begins looking out of the corner of his eye and then turns his head fully towards Harry. Okay? But Harry, if Harry at that moment looked or connected his gaze with Jack, it was this way. He just looked to one side. Okay? That would be odd. Let's say that Harry did that. Let's say that Harry looked at Jack. He did not move his head to do so. Like, I'm just, you're not that important. I'm just giving a quick gaze to you. And there is no confirmation on Jack's face that there was any eye contact between them. That is so odd. This is the kind of things that happen in a split second. And no, this is not. I get this a lot. You are just over-reading, over-interpretation. You're just seeing things. No, this is natural body dynamics. If you just put some common sense to it, you will realize that there's no way that Harry would not have just acknowledged Jack's gaze in here. So we have that. Harry is actively ignoring Jack, and Jack has his lips tense, right? Has his lips inwards. There's a tension between them. There's some tension between Eugenie and Megan, and we see that tension again between Jack and Harry. Something that you can't just take your eyes off that. Jack keeps his eyes and takes a step back. Look at that. He takes a one full step back. Okay. Do you think Jack's attitude, Jack's behavior, Jack's body language is of someone that is a friend of the man he's looking at, of the person he's next to? Is that a friendly attitude? Is that a compassionate attitude? Is that an empathic attitude? It's more. It could be a neutral, but neutral like a bit to the negative. Okay. I'm not. I won't categorize this as a friendly attitude. There's no compassion, no connection, no empathy in that gesture. Finally, Harry looks at him. I think in that moment, sadly, this gentleman's hat covers our sight of Harry. Then finally, Jack just avoids the eye contact altogether. Like, yeah, you don't have to do this to fix your glasses. If you want to look at the person, you just do this. It's no problem. Okay, or with both hands, like I do quite a lot of times. You don't have to just lower your head. It's like you want to, but you don't want to establish eye contact at the same time. Now, there's one thing. At least Eugenie is smiling right now. Smiling here. Megan still has that Miranda Presley attitude. And what happens with Harry's face? You might think that if he had just established eye contact, even for a split second, with a friend, he would have at least just a bit of a relaxed face, a relaxed attitude. But he's tense. His jaw is tense. Notice the shape of his mouth. His jaw is tense at that moment. It's a very uncomfortable situation for both of them. I'm gonna play all from the beginning, just frame by frame. Both Eugenie and Megan distancing themselves from each other. Harry turns around, but not to look at Jack, but at someone behind them. Jack turns around, turns his head towards Harry, so Harry can be aware of his eyes, and when Harry finally establishes eye contact, well, he just goes away. Very uncomfortable situation. And Harry's face after that is, well, I've seen Harry with that lost attitude sometimes. It's like his face when they were singing God Save the King. He was totally lost, absent. This is not absent. This is rather angry. Rather angry. We forward a bit. We still have this. Yeah, look at Harry's face at that frame. Look at Harry's face at that frame. Jack's lips are relaxed again, not looking at Harry. Harry giving his back to him, and Harry is, well, as angry as it gets. Now, okay, Harry could be angry. He's frustrated. He couldn't see his grandmother. Whatever, it was his decision. He didn't want to see her while she was alive, and now he couldn't fix that at the last minute. Maybe he's angry with himself. Well, whatever you want. But why, if Harry is maybe angry with himself because he didn't act like he was supposed to, then tell me why he blows off steam when he enters the car. Like, this is finally over. It's like, if I'm angry with myself, it's not like I'm angry with myself in front of people, and when I get into the car, and then I'm no longer angry with myself. No, I will be angry with myself, and I will show it, and there will be no steam blowing. Like, no, there will be no of that. And then we see that Megan, I don't know if you can spot that. This is not the one with the zoom. That Megan looks at Eugenie, that is right there, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. At least Jack didn't use his middle fingers to push up his glasses. Well, yes, that was a bonus point. Okay, I don't see Eugenie glad either of having established eye contact with Megan at that moment. You remember that Eugenie was at least smiling a bit. Just you see her here. She was smiling at least. She was maybe talking to the guards or I don't know, but she was smiling at some point. Like, if they're friends, if they're all friends, then why is this happening? This is my question, legit question. And then, well, you know what? That Megan got in the car first when Harry was the one who had to get in the car first. You see that there's well, in fact, there's no problem. Harry shows no problem. In fact, it's like Harry leads Megan to get into the car first. Maybe Harry is already used to this kind of, Megan custom Megan protocol. But whatever. While it's Simpson car, we got it. They get in and they leave. Why does this happen?